Yeah, coming to that logs, at a time a table can have only one exclusive log. For all DML operations, the table get nothing but an exclusive log will get applied on a table. So if we have an exclusive log on a table, we can't read the data. We can't read any computer data from the table. So once that exclusive log gets read out from the table, then only we can read the data from the table. So here if you see, it is a DML operation that we are updating the data. Here we are applying some delay. So means this transaction runs for 10 seconds. So until this 10 seconds completed, then only once it is completed, then only we can perform any read operations on by default isolation level of SQL Server. So here this default isolation level is committed. So if you run this query, while running this query, it will wait for 10 seconds, and once it is completed, then only it will give the results. So to see the isolation levels, logs on a particular table, we can run sp_log query. It will give all the logs that are applied on a database, particular database. Here if you see, S is nothing but schedule log, IX is intent exclusive log, and X is exclusive log. So here there are few page level and table level exclusive logs. So I'm copying the subject ID to see the table name. Select object name of ID. So it's isolation test. So means while running this query, an exclusive log get applied on this table, isolation test table. So if you run the same query again, there were no exclusive logs on this table. So there was no mode on X or IX. So once it is completed, then only we can run this particular operation, this select operation. It will in wasted, the transaction is getting in executed. Once that is completed, it will give the result. So for all read operations, we can see schedule logs at a particular table. We can have multiple schedule logs, but it can have a single exclusive log. So if you have any exclusive logs on a table, we can't perform nothing but a schedule log can't be applied while exclusive log is there on a table. And in a similar way, if we have multiple schedule logs on a table, we can't apply exclusive log on the table. Once that is freed out, then only we can apply an exclusive log on the table. And coming to that, our next isolation level, repeatable reads. So here in repeatable read isolation level, we can avoid repeatable reads. In a single transaction, if we perform same query multiple times, if we run the same query multiple times, so whatever the data that is written in the first query, the data should be remain same in the second query, and again in the second query you can see extra data, but whatever the data that is written in the first query, the data should be remain same in the second query. There should not be any updates to the existing data in repeatable reads, but we can add more records. So here we can avoid repeatable reads, but we can't avoid phantom reads. So here I have one sample query for this isolation level. So this is our table name and column name is A. So first I'm running the table data. So here it's -1 we have in A column. So just here I'm updating the data to +1. Else we can update to 2. Here in the first transaction we should return. So here I'm selecting the repeatable read isolation level, set transaction isolation level to repeatable read, and beginning the transaction and selecting one query. Whatever the data that is written in this query, the data should remain same in this second query also, second select statement. So in the once I run this query, I will run this update statement. So here whatever the data that is written in the first query, that should not be changed in repeatability isolation level. So this update statement should be in wait state once until this query is completed. So I am changing the table level to isolation test. I am running the query, so it is running. If I run this update statement, it is still in waiting state. Once this is completed, then only this query will be executed. So I mean, for this data, whatever the data that we seen here, the same data should come from the statement in repeatability isolation level. If you see this two select statement, the data is same. And again, so instead of performing the update operation, you can perform some insert operation. For that insert operation, we may not see any waitings. So directly the data is get inserted into this table. See, I am inserting 6, 6. So again, I am running the same repeatability isolation level with multiple select statements. So I ran this query, and here I ran this exit statement. The record get inserted, but still it is in running state. So in the second select statement, you can see 6 records. In the first select statement, you can see 5 records. So here you are seeing only 5 records, but in the second select statement, you can see 6 records. So this is repeatable read isolation level. Here we can see, still we can see phantom reads, but we can't see any repeatable reads. I think we are clear. So just I am moving to the next isolation level, serializable isolation level. This isolation level takes repeatable read and adds the guarantee that no new data will be added, eradicating the chance of getting phantom bits. So here all the reads phantom bits get eradicated. So in the same select statement, so here if you perform the same insert operation, I'm inserting the new record with 77 while running this query with serializable isolation level. I'm taking the serializable syntax. So here we need to change it to serializable. So this is a syntax to set the transaction isolation level to serializable. I am running this query. So while running this query, you can run update statements as well as insert statements. So it is in waiting state. Here if you run this update statement, the data gets inserted. So I mean it avoids that phantom bit. So we can't run any update or insert statements until this gets completed. So it is completed and the data is inserted. So in both the statements, you can see the same data, 6 and 6. So again, I am running the same query again. I am running the same these two statements, or else I will run the single update statement. So it is also in wait state. Means in serializable transaction, it's completed and the data get updated. So here whatever the data that you see here, the same data we can see here. It means no new records will get inserted into serializable isolation level, and no data will change in the first transaction compared to the second transaction. So I mean the data remains same until the transaction gets completed in serializable. But when we come to the repeatable reads, we can add new records, but we can't update the data. So in serializable, we can avoid phantom reads as well as repeatable reads and also dirty reads. So here we can see the complete data. And coming to the next isolation level, we have snapshot isolation level. So snapshot isolation level is also same as serializable isolation level. This provides the same guarantee as serializable. So here the benefit of snapshot of isolation level is, instead of waiting our DML operations, it will get executed in transaction isolation level. It will use the temp database and it reflects the whatever the operation that we perform. I mean it reflects all updates and insert operations. Thank you.